Welcome to Midlife Moves, where we're figuring out this whole midlife thing one day, one workout, and one what the hell just happened moment at a time. I'm Heather, and if you're navigating career shifts, fitness goals, parenting teenagers, or just wondering when the hell we became the grown-ups, you're in the right place. Let's talk about the real stuff, no filters, just honest conversations and a little bit of chaos. Let's get into it. Hi. I'm Heather Francis. Welcome to another episode of Midlife Moves. When I was a teenager, I remember talking to one of my friend's older sisters while she was going through a divorce. And I remember her saying, I thought I didn't like sex. It just turns out I wasn't into it with him. At the time, I was just like, But now, as I've gotten older and through different phases of my life, like that conversation has come up for me again and again. I still think about it. It's 27 years later. I remember the year that this was, and I still think about that statement. Because I think as we get older and we move through long-term relationships and life and stress and raising kids and all the things, we start to realize that intimacy and sexuality are actually a lot more complicated than we thought they were. Everything's a lot harder when you're 45 than when you're 18. Life gets busy. Relationships can start to feel logistical. You're managing schedules and work and bills and kids and exhaustion and all the other moving parts of adulthood. And sometimes intimacy quietly slides down that priority list. Sometimes emotional disconnect shows up there first. Sometimes body image shows up there. And sometimes resentment does too. A lot of times shame can. I think a lot of us at this point in our lives, we start asking those deeper questions about ourselves. Like, what do I actually like? What feels good to me? What do I want now? Because those answers can evolve over time. A lot of us grew up with messaging around sex that carried shame to it. Like, good girls don't talk about sex. If you like sex too much, there was judgment associated. You were perhaps a little slutty. And I think that for a lot of us, there's a lot of entangling that starts to happen in midlife around desire and curiosity and confidence, communication, and even permission to explore parts of ourselves and our sexuality that maybe we were uncomfortable with before. So there's like the emotional side, but then there's also the physical side because we throw changing bodies on top of it. I can't tell you how many times I have personally avoided intimacy because I didn't feel good in my body. Like for a very long time, it was very much a lights off situation in my house. I did not want to, shirts on, lights off. So today's conversation is really about all of that. It's about sexuality and shame and long-term relationships, desire, communication, curiosity, and how we start having more conversations about intimacy as we grow and evolve, not just with ourselves, but also with our partners. Today, I'm joined by Hannah Johnson. She is also known as the Libido Fairy. Hannah works with women around desire, pleasure, shame, communication, and intimacy. And I really appreciated how nuanced and honest this conversation became. Let's get into it. You know what's interesting? I've had so many conversations lately about sleep, like not falling asleep, staying asleep, that 2 or 3 a.m. wake up where you're just up, which I deal with that too. And we're like, oh, this is what we're doing now. But recently a couple things shifted for me. I cut back on drinking, which I know no one wants to hear, but it's helped. And the other thing that surprised me is our mattress. Helix sent us one, and I was honestly skeptical because we had just bought one like a year ago. I didn't think it was going to make a difference, but I'm actually sleeping better. Like fewer wake-ups, deeper sleep. I'm not as hot. It's just better. And I don't think that's the only reason, but it's definitely part of it. They do a sleep quiz that matches you to one, which made the whole thing pretty easy. Anyway, I didn't expect to have thoughts about a mattress, but here we are. If you want more information, I will drop the link in the show notes. I am joined today by Hannah Johnson. Hannah, I got familiar with on Instagram, like everybody else, guys. And she is the Libido Fairy. Hannah, I'm so excited that you're joining me today. Can you tell my guests a little bit about you?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, Heather, for the introduction. Yeah, my mission on this planet at this particular moment in time is to really empower women to have sex lives that are fulfilling and rewarding to them in their relationships. And I do that through a mix of somatic therapy, behavioral therapy techniques, and yeah, just really helping women understand their bodies and get educated about what's going on in there and how to have pleasure. So yeah, that's really what I'm up to in the world. And I am excited to chat with you about that today.
What I'm most excited to talk about is a lot of women, especially, well, there's two things. When we're in long-term relationships, the interest in intimacy can shift dramatically, like our interest versus our partners, and it's cyclical, right? So I would love to start with, like, sometimes we just feel disconnected from it. And you talk a lot about that in your content. We're just not into it. From your perspective, what is happening there?
For sure. No, I mean, there is a broad answer, and then there's a lot of like little answers underneath that. And the broadest answer is that the way that our desire for sex works is a motivation and reward system. So it's not a drive like hunger or thirst or sleep. It's not something that we need to do to live, that we're compelled to do. No one's going to die from a lack of orgasms. But if we want to want sex, the sex has to be compelling enough to want it. We need to have some type of reward that we're getting from sex to cause us to be motivated to go and get it. And a lot of times what will happen is, for whatever reason, whether it's because you're disconnected emotionally from your partner, or you struggle to stay present during sex, or you're really stressed out and overwhelmed and just disconnected from yourself, the sex that you're having is not rewarding enough to seek it out and to want to have it again. And so that's the big broad stroke answer. And then there's a lot of little factors that play into why sex would not be rewarding enough to go seek it out.
Right. So there's the relationship aspect, but then there's also, like, sometimes there's so much shame around sex that sometimes, like, we as women don't really know what we like. And it's an uncomfortable journey to try to find out too, right? Let's start there. So how does one begin that?
It's a great question. It's a great question. It's actually very simple. The same way that you figure out what it is that you like to eat, you put something in your mouth and then your body tells you, is this delicious or is this disgusting? Mm-hmm. And that is really the process of figuring out what it is that you like in sex. You need to try something and then listen to how your body responds to that input. Is my body saying this is a yes and I enjoy this and the signals that you might be getting to know that you would enjoy it would be presence. You feel maybe a fluttering in your chest. Maybe there's a racing heart in response. Maybe there's more openness, calm, relaxation. There could be more blood flow to your nipples or to your clitoris as a result of liking something. There's all kinds of positive reactions that happen in your body, sensational reactions that signal, yes, I want more of this. Or as your body's saying, no, I do not like this, I do not want this, which could be signals like tensing, pain, discomfort, distraction. A lot of times the reason why we're in our heads during sex is because the thing that we're doing in sex doesn't feel that good. And so then our bodies intelligently take us out of the moment so that we don't have to feel that unpleasant sensation. So if you're constantly feeling in sex, like all the things that are happening are a no, you need to try something different than what's happening. So to me, that's where it starts, is first understanding, what does my yes feel like in my body? What does a no feel like in my body? And then let me experiment with myself and with my partner to discover what are the things that feel like a yes and do more of those things.
So I love the idea of women, well, at any age, but women, especially like in like my age group, like starting to explore that a little bit more. I think that that's really important for us as just as women. in knowing ourselves, right? Like we're growing into these like confident, like we're growing into confidence everywhere else. Why not in the bedroom too? I think that makes sense. And I think also like letting go of that shame. Like I was raised Catholic, like all of the stuff and all of the messages about how it's so bad and trying to put that down. Like I think that's probably a whole other conversation. But then there's the part with the relationships, right? I have a lot of friends that I talk to and they just aren't into it. The common theme is they'll lay there and just like wait and plan dinner or do whatever they're going to do. And that's a little bit of what you talked about, but then there's more to it than that, like what do we do then?
Well, you first have to admit that that's a problem for you. If you feel like that's fine and that's the sex life that feels like good enough to you and you don't feel like that's a problem, then good for you. Like don't change it. But first, if you want something different or something more, you have to admit to yourself, I do want more from our sex life than just laying here and getting it over with. And then expressing that to your partner. You have to communicate to your partner, hey, the way that we're doing this right now isn't working for me. And I don't know exactly what it is that would work for me, but this is not doing it. And so are you willing to go on this journey with me to have sex that is actually mutually rewarding instead of just gratifying for you? And I want to discover that with you. I would say most of the time, if you're in a really loving relationship, your partner wants you to enjoy the sex that you're having. They want you to have fun with them sexually. Like I don't think most men want their partner to just lay there and get it over with and do it out of obligation. I think that most humans want to have a sexual connection that's mutually fulfilling and pleasurable and fun and enjoyable for both people involved. And so if you have the courage to say to your partner, which is the first step, I want something more and something different from this, that's where it starts in the relationship, is making that decision together to make it better.
I've been married for 22 years. We have our 22nd anniversary coming up. So we have gone through...
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thanks. We have gone through this cycle multiple times. And I remember there was one conversation that we had that got really, really hard. And I wound up telling him, like, this is working for me and this is not working for me. And he was very receptive to it. Like all he wants to do is make me happy in like every aspect of life,
Yes.
And so he, like, knowing that was I'll tell you, that was a horrible conversation to have. That was very uncomfortable but it did affect him, like he was happy it was good feedback.
100%. Well, the thing is that, like, again, I really genuinely do believe that in relationship, if you love the person that you are with, you want to make each other happy. And
yes.
If you are not enjoying yourself in the bedroom and you don't let your partner know, then you are just as complicit in having bad sex as your partner is. And they want to know. They want to know how to make it better. They want to know how to please you. They want you to have a good time. And so there is a certain level of responsibility, though, on the person who's not having a good time to say that and to be willing to do the uncomfortable process of trying things and failing. And like some of the things that you try might not work, but there has to be like this initial bout of courage to go, okay, I'm going to admit to my partner that this isn't working for me. And it's super uncomfortable to do that, but it's so worth it on the other side, because then you also have a more honest relationship as well.
Well, and I have to assume they know if you're not having a good time.
Some women are really good at faking it, though.
Yeah. Yeah. My husband knew I wasn't having a good time.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
well, he was like, I'm not good at faking anything. I'm like,
there will be signs a lot of times. Right. Like, and a lot of times they do know. If they do know, and then you admit it and you say, I want something better, that's a positive.
So sex doesn't start in the bedroom. And that's a phrase that every woman and man is probably familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
How does this play into how we show up in the space in general?
Well, there's a concept that I really like from Dr. Karen Gurney's book, Mind the Gap, that's called sexual currency. And it's this idea that there is an exchange. There's a currency involved in a relationship, which is sexual in nature, that you exchange back and forth with your partner. There's an energy to it. And as you exchange sexual currency, what you're saying to each other is, you're not my friend. Like, I see you as more than just my family or my friend. I see you as a sexual being, and do you see me as a sexual being as well? And in the exchanging of that sexual currency, there's a deepening of intimacy that's different than if you were just friends or you were family with each other. And the ways that you can exchange sexual currency in a relationship can be things like making sexual jokes, touching each other playfully in certain ways, deepening in kisses, reminiscing about past sexual experiences, talking about how you're excited for future sexual experiences, sharing fantasies, flirty text messages. It's really like the energy of flirtation and the energy of exchanging erotic energy. And the more that you do that in your relationship and you build the habit of exchanging that type of energy in the relationship, it's much easier for women who have what's called responsive desire to be more willing and open to have sex with their partner more frequently. I think of it like there's momentum in relationships, and you can get very easily into a momentum of, we're just friends, we're just roommates, we're just family. We're in a momentum actually of talking about bills, logistics, kids, like we're just managing the household together. If you're in that momentum, it can be challenging to shift the momentum in a different direction, which is this erotic momentum. But also, once you start building that momentum, you can stay in it more easily. And so I just encourage people, like, if you're out of the momentum, like, it's going to be really hard to like start the engine and like start the momentum because you're already going in a different direction. But once you start it, it gets much easier to stay in it. And the trick is like just not losing it. Just don't lose the momentum. And in my opinion, the best way to not lose it is to create rituals that are consistently stoking the erotic energy fire. So in my relationship, we do a daily 6-second kiss. Like, no matter what, if we're in the same place in the day, at some point in the day, we're going to have a kiss that's longer than just a peck, that's really present and really intentional with each other. And that is like a huge momentum builder for our relationship. Similarly, we have scheduled intimacy. So every week, we actually have twice a week on the calendar, physical intimacy on our calendars. And that keeps us consistent. It keeps us in the momentum. And so I'm a big fan of just like dummy proofing it, like make it so easy that you just can't fall off track.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think about our day to day. So my husband, so we work together. My desk is right here. His desk is literally right here. We go to the gym together. Like our life is logistics, right? Like it's, like who's going to do what, when, who's going to get the kids around. And so I don't even consider flirting with him. It's not even on my radar. And I think that if he started to flirt with me, I would without thinking about it, I probably would be like, what's wrong with you today? like it's just so far. So my point is, if we wanted to start doing something like that, that could just be a text.
It could just be a text. It could be, with all of the technology that exists right now, like you could set up an automation to send you a reminder to send the text every day. You could set an alarm on your phone that says, send my husband a flirty text message right now. No matter what you're doing, you're like, okay, let me just, and then you have like a list of like pre-made sexy texts that you just like copy paste one of your sexy texts from your like pre-made list and send it right at that time. Yeah. Just, it could be as small as that. I think it could also be like as small as what I'm saying, like a 6-second kiss. If you have certain points in your day where you're together, Like, for example, if you're always waking up together at the same time, or you're always having dinner together, or there's like a checkpoint during the day where you know you're going to be in the same place at the same time, like stack the ritual on top of that. Like, okay, we know we're having dinner together. Before dinner, we're just going to like spend 5 minutes before we make dinner laying down together and just cuddling for 5 minutes and just breathing together before we transition into the evening, right? Like, it doesn't have to be crazy sexual or something like that. Yeah, it's really just about what's going to work for your relationship and your life in whatever season that you're in, to stay consistently connected beyond just we're logistic roommates that manage a house together.
It's just so easy to fall into that.
It is. It totally is. It takes effort. Like, it does take work and intention to have a great romantic component to your relationship. It is so much easier to just let that fall by the wayside and just get comfortable in the relationship. Like, it does require you to put effort in to have that. So there's no shortcut, unfortunately, to that. It has to be a decision to say, this is worth it to my relationship to have this component.
What if you're just not into it at all? Like, I know there's a lot of women that like, they just aren't into it. Like, have zero interest.
For sure. I work with a lot of those people.
Mm-hmm.
Those people end up
this is what you do for this is you see this all the time.
Oh yeah. No, those people are the people that end up in my programs. The reason, like, the thing that has to shift first is them deciding that they're not going to settle for that. Like, a lot of times you say, I'm just not that into it. And then you go, well, whatever, like, it's not that important, or it's not that big of a deal, or I don't care. But a lot of times what I see is women will say, well, you know what, I just don't care about sex, because it's a lot easier to just go, well, I don't care about this, than to go, I'm actually missing something that if I actually don't even know how good it could be if I did have this in my relationship. Yeah. And it's kind of scary to admit that, like, this component missing could cause a big issue in my relationship. It's easier just to say, you know what, I don't care. I don't care about this. My husband's not going to leave me, whatever, than to like do the digging work to go, actually, like, this is really vulnerable. I have a lot of shame around this, and this is something that I want, but I don't know how to get it. I don't know is a much better place to start from than I don't care. And so that's where I want women to start if they're in a place where they're like, I'm not into this, is to, instead of just saying, you know what, I'm not into this and I don't care, to go, I'm not into this and I don't know why. And I don't know what could make it better, but I actually think it might be worth it to explore this for myself, because that's the starting point of them then actually taking initiative to touch themselves, explore their body, maybe get some toys, tell their partner that they want something different, start figuring out with their partner what could make it better, what could cause them to be intimate and want to be into it, right? Like, that's the essential question, is like, what would it have to look like for you to be intimate and be into it?
So there's like a curiosity that would have to be happening on our part.
Yes.
I remember saying, I'm sure I said this to my husband. I was like, I wouldn't care if I ever had it again.
I hear that all the time.
Like, it just wasn't, but like, it was like, like with kids and like all of these things, it's just like, you want me to do what?
Yes.
You know, like, and that's part of what prompted our conversation.
For sure. But I think like that, the problematic piece to that though, is like, okay, you say I would be fine without this forever. But if you're in a relationship with someone who would not be fine with that forever, then it's actually, what's the decision then? Is it like you're going to end the relationship? Is it that you're going to be in a relationship where there's always tension and someone's always unhappy with the way things are going, right? Like, you know, I just think that, again, like, just saying, oh, I would be fine without it forever, it is a little bit of like a cop-out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I don't disagree with you. Right. If you're in a relationship, 100%, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. Because then you go, you know what, this is important to you. It's not important to me. Instead of saying like imagine if a man said to a woman, like, you know what, like, I understand that you want to like talk to me and have emotional connection, but like, I would be completely fine without it. So I'm just not even gonna, I don't care. Like, I'm not gonna try.
So
would not be fine. It would not
that
go
would not
over
be
well.
fine. And I love and I hate that at the same time, because I'm like, oh, I see a lot of parallels in there.
Totally. And I think because it's like, I think it's tough because in our society, we've decided somehow collectively that the desire for sex is somehow less important than the desire for emotional connection in a relationship. And that if you desire emotional connection, you're like morally good. And like, that's a positive thing to want. And you need that in the relationship. But like, sex is somehow animalistic and like kind of lower and shameful if you want that. And like there's an inequality around those desires and like what's an acceptable desire to have in a relationship. And there's all different things that people get into a relationship to want to have, and sex is a valid desire. To want to have a great sexual relationship is a totally valid desire, the same way to want to have a great friendship in your marriage is a totally valid desire. And if you're in a relationship with someone who has these deep underlying desires for what they want to get out of the relationship, then if you're married to them, it's important to prioritize the things that are important to your partner. You benefit from prioritizing the things that are important to your partner, regardless of whether that's sex or intimate connection or domestic support or taking care of the finances or whatever any of those contributions are to the relationship and what the underlying needs are on the other side. So just food for thought on that.
Okay, so let's circle back to the shame piece. So say somebody wants to try something and they have no idea how to approach that. Like we talked about having a conversation. Like that can look different. What people want to try can look different for everyone, right? And sometimes it's very different for them. Even if it's not like taboo or whatever, it's just different for them. Those conversations can feel even bigger. Like those conversations can feel hard too.
Yes.
How can we as women reframe that to ourselves, one, so that there's not so much shame involved, but also then to communicate to our partner, like, hey, this is an area I would like to explore.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about shame is that you can't really resolve it on your own. Like shame is something that is relational. Like what shame is doing as a function, like if as an emotion, what shame is trying to do is protect us from being abandoned. Like it's trying to protect us from being kicked out of the tribe. Like we experience shame to keep us in line, to keep us in connection. And so a lot of times the reason why we experience shame around sex is because someone, an authority figure or our peers told us or implied that this sexual thing or just sex in general is bad. And if you like it, and if you explore this thing, then you're bad and you're wrong. And that means we are not going to be your friend or connect to you or love you in some way. So because it's like a wound that happens in relationship to other people, the only way you can truly resolve shame is in relationship to other people, which means taking the thing that you're ashamed of and that you're afraid to bring forward and saying, this is a part of me. This is a thing that I want or a thing I'm interested in or the thing that I am ashamed of. And I'm going to expose it to another person who I trust, who's a loving, safe, caring individual who I trust to reflect back to me that this part of me is okay. That's how shame heals. That's why in my communities, like shame gets dissolved so quickly because we have these group sessions where someone will come and they'll be so nervous and they'll share this thing that they think that they're the only one experiencing that thing.
Yeah.
And then all these other women are like, me too. It's so fine. It's okay. I feel that way too. Instant shame is gone.
Yeah.
Because there's a group and other people reflecting back to you. This part of you that you thought was bad is not bad. It's safe. It's okay. We love you still. You're still accepted. You're still in the group. You still get to stay in connection. That's how you heal shame. And so if you feel shame around sharing something with your partner, unfortunately, the only way that you are going to get over that shame is rip the Band-Aid off and share the thing with your partner.
Which is like worst nightmare scenario for some people.
Totally. And it's just a conversation. You're not going to die.
It's just a conversation.
I think it's really important to put that in context because there's every part of you feels like if you reveal this thing, you're going to die. You're not going to die. It's just a conversation with someone who loves you.
What's the worst that can happen?
The worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? You get a divorce?
You get a divorce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what? You're still alive. Then maybe you find someone who loves you even better.
Yeah. If there's one thing if there's one message that you would leave women with after listening to this, and what would that one message be?
You deserve more from your sex life than just laying there and tolerating it. You deserve to be an active participant in your sex life, experiencing the pleasure and the joy and the fulfillment and the excitement and adventure that's available for you in that. And if you feel any inkling listening to that there might be more for you in that, please follow it. Please pull on that thread and explore that.
And if they wanted to join one of your communities or learn more about that, how could they do that?
Yeah, I'm the Libido Fairy on all the platforms. So you can find me Instagram, the Libido Fairy, YouTube, the Libido Fairy, Substack, the Libido Fairy, TikTok, the Libido Fairy, libidofairy.com. It's the same across everything. So very easy to find me.
Hannah, thank you so much for having this conversation with me today. I genuinely appreciate it.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Great questions. Thank you for having me.
All right, ladies, until next time. That's it for this episode. If you had fun, learned something, or just feel a little less alone in the chaos, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you want to keep the conversation going, come find me on Instagram at @HeatherMoves_, because midlife is way more fun when we do it together. Until next time, keep moving forward, or at least keep moving. See ya.